Hey guys, so this week what we're going to do is pick up right where we left off. Now we need to finish this firewall. In order to do that, I got to get the motor out. So there's a couple things I got to disassemble, whatnot, to get this motor out. Once that's done, we'll actually make the final cuts on the firewall, add some decorative pieces, go from there. But first, let's get this motor out. Well, nothing ever goes easy. The studs on the intake, I couldn't put my lift plate on because they were stripped. Then when I tried to get them out, they snapped, so whatever. Grabbed my leveler bar and bolted in, used the chains, hoisted that way. Alright, now the engine's out and I can really look at it. I don't like where the bottom pieces seam and the top pieces seam all come together. It just looks bad to me. So I've decided to cut the bottom and put a third panel in there so it ends up a seam, a seam, and a seam. Not all those piled on top of each other. So go ahead and get everything marked, get it off, trim it down, and then we'll make that third piece. I know I've said this before, but if you gotta bend something and bead roll it first, then bend it. I keep making these pieces and forgetting every time to bead roll it first, so try to remember, saves you a lot of scrap. Alright, my original plan was to add something decorative to it. I was going to do either a quilting pattern or flames or something, okay? But I sat here and did all these different test pieces. I got flames, got kind of like spider web, embossed flames, machine turned, like swirled, stepped friggin' quilted pattern. I don't like any of them at all. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and rivet the whole thing out and see what it looks like then. And then I can actually decide if it needs something more or if it's good where it's at. I don't want to overdo it. The inside of the car is nice, smooth, simple, just it and rivets. I don't want to go stupid with all types of stuff going on outside. I kind of want it all to tie together. So anyway, time to put in a lot of rivets. So. Alright, so you might have noticed I was working around the outside in, and it's a good thing because when I got over here I just realized there's not enough room to get the cap off the master cylinder. So what I'll do is just trim it up. I've got an inch to play with here before it hits the actual floorboard. I'll go ahead and trim this up, and that way it gives us enough room to be able to get the cap off. So good thing I didn't rivet that first. Alright, so look, I wasn't planning on putting these rows of rivets in here, but after I got everything in and you start tapping, you can tell which ones are going to rattle like crazy going down the road. So I think it's a little too far of a span, so we're going to need to go ahead and put rivets, 2 rows of rivets to keep it nice and tight so it doesn't rattle. More rivets. I'm almost out. I bought 300, that's everything I could get, and I'm about 250 in right now, so let's see if I can finish this. Alright, so I got up this morning, I went over to Lowe's. I spent like 2 hours wandering around trying to think through different ideas. I'd have an idea, but then how to make it work, what pieces would work. And what I came up with is, I knew I wanted copper tubing to come through the dash, go down, and cut down by the frame, so I could have all my wires in it. Because I didn't want the wires hanging on the floor there. It was just a good idea to clean it up. So I bought some 1/2 inch and some 3/4 copper. And I dug out my tools for cutting it and everything, and so we're going to cut a few pieces, lay it on here, kind of see what it looks like, and go from there. Alright, I gotta say the copper on the firewall looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to make a flange that goes around where the copper is going to go through to help the aesthetic look of it. It's going to serve no purpose other than looking good. I'm doing everything I can to mock this up the far as I can without cutting that firewall. Because the minute I cut that firewall, I'm committed. It's got to go in, or I got to take and make a whole nother piece. So I've taken a piece of sacrificial wood, just a piece of scrap. I've screwed the sheet down to it. We're going to use hole saws to cut the center hole and the outer one so I get a nice circle. Then we're going to take and bead roll it from there. So, start cutting. I'm using the same drill that you guys might have remembered that burned up when I did the actual gauge panels. It seems to have come back to life. We're going to give it a shot. Alright, well that didn't work. Alright, so trying to bead roll such a small piece in a circle, not gonna happen. So, plan B, C, whatever it is now. Gonna go ahead and take a compass, draw the circles out on the full sheet, bead roll it first, then cut it. Hopefully that works. Alright, I can't even tell you how many circles I bead rolled, and I didn't like any of them. I didn't like it, wasn't getting the look I wanted. And I even tried hand forming a piece. I beat out a speed blister and tried putting it in there. No, nothing looks the way I want. Then I got this idea, how I did the tail lights on the back of the car where they're exploding out. So I did a test piece here, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. So this is what I'm going to do on the front of the car. So they're nice and small, it's a little detail, they're splitting out, the copper goes in, should look good. So only issue is I got to plasma the front of that firewall I just built. So we're going to get it done. Alright, now that I have the pipe coming out and going down, I need to figure out a way to actually secure it in place so it doesn't move around and it holds the right spacing. So digging around, I've got this busted up piece of copper I used to use for I'd stick it in there when I was welding and things like that to keep it from going. That's why it's so burnt up. But I think I can cut some strips out of this and make some tabs so that I actually look good on it. So let's try it. Alright, so to create these clamps, what I'm doing is I've got a scrap piece of material, bending it around as tight as I can get it, and keeping the edges lined up so it's straight. You don't want it cocked. Taking a pair of seamers, sliding it up as far as you can get it, start to pinch, slide it up more, so you've got it as tight as you possibly can on that piece of pipe. There. Now we're going to figure out how far the spacing needs to be off the firewall, come back, mark it, and bend it 90 degrees. Now that I know where I need to be, slide my seamers up so it lines here and here. The tricky part with these is you got to do it by hand. Luckily it's copper, it bends rather easy. Same thing on the other side. There. Now if you did it right, it should sit flat and make the loop. Okay? Now, in order to get the right spacing so it doesn't look horrible, just taking a piece of pipe, marking the curve, button it up on this side, marking the curve. So there we have it. Just rounding off the edges. Okay. Now we can punch the holes for the rivets and it's done. Same thing other side. Well guys, it's all done. Now, I'll know I went in lots of different directions in this video. I had lots of ideas. They just didn't work out. I did them and then I just didn't like the way they looked, but hey, that's the process. So, well, it's all in now. So now next week we're going to take the 454, put it on the engine stand. Hopefully my parts come in. We're going to reseal it, throw a new oil pan on it. Now I can't decide if I want to paint it
Do I want to paint it orange? Do I want to paint it black? Do I want to paint it copper? I don't know. So in the comments below, why don't you guys take and tell me what you think the motor should be painted. Now remember, I've got a chrome tunnel ram for it, but I don't have much other chrome. So not really going that way with the engine. So tell me what you guys think. Now before I go today, today's Memorial Day, and I really appreciate it if you guys would take a minute and remember all those brothers and sisters that didn't come home. So a lot of us were lucky. We came home just fine, but not everybody did. And that's what today's about, remembering those people. So, alright guys, happy Memorial Day. See you on the next one.